What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Triangle. This is your boy D.
And it's your girl, CJ.
And I'm going to take the time to sow some discord. So, CJ deleted me from our Triangle group.
It was an accident.
No, Miss Spooksville. I know for a fact that if this had happened with anybody else, and it was some type, she would not categorize that as an accident. She would be like, that's God, that's the universe, trying to tell you they was trying to get rid of you, and they have some underlying beef with you. So I will let the Triangle subscribers decide. The fans can decide if CJ really had a problem, and it was God in the universe trying to let me know she don't fuck with me like that. Because if this needs to be the line instead of the triangle, it can be.
I mean, maybe it's because you fell asleep and left us hanging last night. I don't know.
I definitely fell asleep.
You called no show.
She did.
You're fucking fired. You're fired.
I need a doctor's note.
To be fair to our listeners and our YouTube friends and family, I worked like 3 million jobs. I was tired. After homegirl that came to visit me left, I woke up in a pile of my clean clothes that I did laundry in. Like, what the fuck happened? To like 27 missed calls. And I'm like, what?
Well, that was one of the options I gave Dee. I was like, I know her friend was in town. They was drinking wine and eating pizza on the floor in her living room. I said,
we were literally
maybe
on the
she
floor.
passed out.
And I passed out. Like pizza crust on me, wine glass empty, and it was like, it was great sleep though. But I'm Brandi, by the way.
So we regrouped today after much needed time.
Much needed rest. Yes, Lord. Yes.
Oh my God. So today is part 4 of 5 of our Bloctober Spooksville Spectacular series. We're gonna keep it short today because we're all pressed for time. So next week, which was
press.
Yeah, next week is going to be our slightly longer one because it'll be our Halloween one. It'll actually drop on Halloween because it's on Thursday too. Yes, so we'll do.
I like the sound of anything slightly longer.
I'm done.
Damn.
But like, I'm saving my best story for next week, so I'm gonna leave it for that. But anyway, I think Brandi said there's some fan comments or questions that we got. We want to go through that first.
Big one, and I was like, how did we not talk about this? But we could have saved it for Halloween, but we won't. We'll talk about it now.
Let's do it.
How do you feel about Halloween and letting your kids trick or treat, whether you're churched out or not? I'm pretty sure I know how we all feel about it, but I was like, oh, that's a good question. And there's Bible beaters that are like, no, it's the devil's day and blah, blah, blah.
I am okay with it, obviously. It's weird. When I grew up, my dad would not let me go trick-or-treating. So I have actually never gone trick-or-treating until I have my own child. Like,
whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so not only is my real birthday on Halloween, so I mean, it was kind of okay because it was a birthday party going on in our house. So my brother and I didn't really miss that part. Like, I thought it was kind of cruel because when you're younger in like elementary school, middle school, all your friends are going, and you're like,
yeah,
it's your birthday.
Everything.
Yeah, so I've never been. My brother's never been. My brother to this day has never been because he hasn't gone. I mean, you know what I mean?
Tell him I'll take him for some tricks and treats.
You know what? I feel like it's gonna be a lot more tricks turned.
A lot more tricking
than anything. Yeah. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Just I'm done. But so my kids have been trick-or-treating. Like when Heather was born on the 5th of October. 3 weeks in was Halloween, and she went trick-or-treating for her first Halloween. Like, no, I took her 3.5.
I took PJ as a baby.
Yeah,
he was a little pirate, and I took him right on out there.
Yep. I got candy for the baby so mommy and daddy can eat it in her little stroller. And I mean, I just feel like, as long as you teach your kids that whatever your belief or, whatever your religion is, if you don't condone it as a religious thing, then it's just fun for the children. It's just like anything else, like going to football games, going to like dances for the school. It's kind
Going
of
to watch fireworks for the 4th of July. I'm like, I totally see no problem with it.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't do I don't celebrate 4th of July like a lot of Americans do. I just go because people are partying. It's Juneteenth for us. You know what I'm saying?
And it's also a day off. It's like I can disagree with why you all are celebrating, but also enjoy my day off and some barbecue.
Yeah, it's like Columbus Day, right? That just passed. Like most people were off if they were in an office setting or whatever. School was out, so school was off. And do I celebrate Columbus? Hell no. Will I take a day?
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Right. And when they all change it to that, then I will celebrate it. But there's only like what 10 states or something that's only done it. So like
I mean, 10 is a far cry from the none for
it's a start
for however long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see a problem with it. Especially when you have these weird groups of people or churches that'll be like, well, we're not going to celebrate Halloween or we don't condone that, but you can still do trick or trunk treating at the church. I'm like, it's the same fucking thing.
It is
a different day. Like if it's hate to be that black and white, but if it's like bad, make it all bad.
Make it all bad.
Yeah, I remember the schools changing it from like Halloween parade to fall fling fun. I still remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that shit? Fall fling fun. And then it's cool. Was I gonna join in? Hell yeah, free cupcakes and like playing games all day. I'm down. I'm down, but I just don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be.
Especially because a lot of the people that are doing the complaining are the same ones that put Christmas trees in their house.
I was just gonna say that.
Like, we don't have good episodes about that in December. Mm-hmm.
I know.
Because that comes from some pagan shit. Same place where the concept of Halloween comes from. So
you know,
and in people's wedding rings, but we'll get into that at a different time.
Or even giving away. When your dad walks you down the aisle, that's a whole nother story.
Easter bunny?
Yes, exactly. So, you know,
we're going to ruin all your holidays. Just giving you a heads up.
Keep listening to the Triangle and ruin all your holidays.
We're ruining all your holidays. So I do have this story to share because it was recent. A lot of people that, you know, follow me, you know, my mom got married this weekend.
Yes. So don't be alarmed. I'm going back and watching all the videos later. So if I start liking a bunch.
It was very much fun. Oh yeah, and shout out to my son who subscribed, but thank the Lord he's not listening to his mama right now. Because it's his birthday today. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. But anyway, so my aunt called me the day before I was going to leave at like 2-something in the morning. And she had my other aunt with her because big family on that side. And she's like, she had a dream about you. She wants to tell you about it. And I'm pushing pin right there because we talked about this in the first 1 or 2 episodes of the Triangle, how these things will pass down in the family. I've never been like a dreamer like that. Like I rarely have dreams. And when I do, they're so weird. I don't write them down, hardly remember them. That's that.
Right.
But anyway, she said she had a dream that some man was chasing me down like a dark alley. And normally when you hear anything like that, you're like, okay, danger. Because if you're running, you're in danger or whatever. And I like to look up and kind of interpret dreams or whatever. Yeah. So she was like, I just want you to be careful and watch who you're around, which could make total sense and why she would say that. Because I know I'm getting into different circles and around different people now that I'm taking more opportunities. So I was like, you know, I appreciate what you're saying. She's like, I don't mean to scare you or anything. I'm like, it's not scary. It's just also 2:30 in the morning. So if anything, I'm probably annoyed by that. But when I was looking up about dreams that people have of you or that you have of yourself if you're running from somebody, it doesn't always mean like that'll literally manifest in your life. You could be running from a situation you're avoiding in real life, which relatable as fuck on so many levels. So I just thought that was interesting since we were talking about the different spiritual gifts that go throughout the family, whether they end up being something that's pleasant to deal with or unpleasant, like seeing things that you really don't want to see, but it's there. So I thought that was just kind of interesting and spectacular to share.
D just had one the other day, right? With
yeah, and actually today too. Very weird. So going back to the 13th, it was the night of the 13th, and I was getting off work, and I was in the car.
This month?
Yeah, this
like
month.
the full moon, October 13th.
That's what I said when he told me.
Yeah.
Girl.
It was the night of the 13th going into the 14th because I got off work. I left the office a little bit before 11 o'clock. I mean, a little bit before midnight, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving home and a song comes on the radio. And it's a song that my cousin, one of my cousins who has passed away, she really liked it. And I've heard, when it came on, I started, jamming out to it and whatever. And I kind of got sad. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be sad. Like, if she was here, she would be jamming out to the shit too. So I was just like, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to the whole song and had a good time driving home. And then I'm going to say 2 nights later, another cousin was like, hey, I had this weird dream about the same cousin that's passed away. And I was like, wow, that's nuts. And then her mom was like, me too. And this was around midnight on the 15th. So this is the 15th. We're having this conversation at like 11:50 something, right? So we were talking about how, all of our experiences, and we're talking about how crazy it was that we're all thinking about her or having dreams about her around this time. So then my aunt goes, what's today? And it had just passed midnight.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, what's today? So she's like, when is her birthday? When the hell is her birthday? We checked, and her birthday was the 16th. And it had just turned the 16th, and all 3 of us were together talking about her.
See? That's what I'm saying.
No.
So we're like, oh, happy birthday, I guess. It was like, cheers. So the next day I went to work, and when I got off work on the 16th, I went to this like bodega that a lot of my family members have gotten in trouble at that particular bodega. Like people have gotten in fights, gone to jail. Like my brother got in some trouble up there with fighting my cousins, and it's just not a good place to be. But I was like, if she was here right now, we would probably stop at this bodega because that's just where we would go. And I grabbed me 2 tall boys, and I was like, I'm gonna have a drink for her. So got home, I drank like half one, and I was like, I'm not feeling like drinking, so I poured the rest out, and I have the other one in the fridge. So that's what I'm drinking right now for this episode. So.
See? And you know what's crazy? Earlier this month, now that I'm thinking about it, it was Heather's birthday, my kiddo's birthday. And like the day before, like I was like baking and cleaning the house because we were going to have people over and family over to celebrate and whatever. And a lot of times when I start baking, I think about my dad a lot because he's the one who was the baker in my house. You know what I mean? So I was like, I kind of got in my feelings. I cried for like an hour. I was like, I miss you, blah, blah, blah. And so that night, my child comes home and I'm done eating dinner. I'm cleaning up the kitchen. She's still trying to eat and Rob's sitting with her. And all of a sudden she goes, I miss Grandpa Joe. Now, mind you, she's never met him.
What the hell?
He passed away in 2009.
What?
Heather was born in 2015. And she goes, I miss Grandpa Joe. I was like, I stopped dead in my tracks. I was like, because I hadn't told anybody that I was, having a moment with like missing my dad that day.
Be knowing.
And I was like, you miss Grandpa Joe? I was like, why do you miss him? She was like, I don't know. I just miss Grandpa Joe. I was like, did you see him today? She was like, no. I was like, okay. She was like, I just miss him. And she just like talked about him for a few minutes. And I was like, so crazy. I told my mom the next day. But like my dad, ever since he passed away, had a way of like showing up or doing what, like, I don't know if I told the story, like right when he passed away, because they were in Louisiana still. So of course I went to Louisiana to go to the funeral and whatever. He does this thing with light bulbs and like electricity. My mom was saying that after he passed, like the next day or the day 2 days after, she was standing in the house and she was like, if you're still around and like, watching over us, can you show me a sign? And one of the hallway light bulbs popped. Right? That's not it. So me and my brother are there too, right? And my brother and my mom are like, we're gonna go to a grocery store to get some food because nobody feels like cooking with all of that going on. I was like, nah, I need to take a shower because I had flown in from Nebraska and whatever, and it was like a day or 2 later because when your mind in, right, you ain't want to do nothing. So I was like, I have to take a shower. So I'm in the shower and the lights go out for like 3 seconds. I was like, what the fuck? Like I said it out loud. I was like, stop. And then the light turned back on. And I was like, did the power go out? Like I got out of the shower, checked the microwave, like the stove, checked like all the electronic clocks in the house. Nothing was off. So my mom and my brother come home, and I tell my mom this. I didn't know this, but like there was like this little joke that my dad would do with my mom when she was in that particular shower because they had 2 bathrooms. He would walk by in the hallway while she was showering and turn off the light to scare her. And then turn it back on. I was like,
so basically,
bruh.
like playing with you.
Yeah, and anytime like he has showed up everywhere. He showed up in my apartment in Nebraska. Like I thought my roommate was walking around in my room. It was my dad because I sniffed his cologne at the end. Like,
whoa,
that same cologne at my mom's house now, where his picture my mom painted. There's a corner where his picture is at. Like this one time I walked by it and it smelled like his cologne. Okay, you can't miss it because he was old school and he used Brute in that green.
Oh yeah, yes.
Look at y'all.
Like
you can't mistake that for nothing. You can't mistake it for my brother's cologne, nobody's cologne, because nobody under 70 wears that shit. So look, here's the crazy part of that one. I stopped right when I walked by it because I smelled it. And I told my mom, who was in the room, I was like, come here. She came over and smelled it too, right by the pictures. And then everybody else in the house.
Crazy.
Dude, my dad, like whenever I talk about him or we think about him, he just shows up. I've had him like dim the lights and brighten it back up a few times in front of like Dan and his girlfriend. And like, it's crazy. His ex-girlfriend, excuse me.
That's crazy. Girl, I wasn't worried about that.
Well, a few viewers or listeners might be. So
I'm kidding. Yeah, the ones that are worried about it, shoot your shot. I don't want Dan.
But anyway, family ties are really strong. Like it really does.
Yes.
Do stuff.
Speaking of which, so after all of that happened, so this was on I told you the 16th is when all this stuff happened.
Yeah.
So today I get a text message from my aunt. Now this particular aunt is from a whole other side of the family. Mm-hmm. This is my mom. So my cousin that passed away, I was talking about, is on my dad's side. Now this is an aunt on my mom's side. She hits me up today, text message. She's like, "I was thinking about you. Call me when you can." And I'm like, usually that's
right.
So
like, some serious stuff.
Yeah, like what's going on? So I called her and she was like, she's like, "I just wanted to let you know that you've been right the whole time." And I was like, "Huh?"
What do you mean?
And I was just listening. Everything that I've been thinking about spiritually and have been going through since I was little, she's like, "You have been right the whole time." She's like, she was like, and she apologized to me. She's like, "I'm sorry, maybe I didn't seem like I was available, like you had questions or were wondering what was going on. If I seemed distant or didn't want to talk about it, or maybe didn't know how to approach you about it." And I was like, "That's crazy. Like, how did she know that I had been going through this for the past few days?" But she's the one. Remember, I told you the dream, the astral projecting dream, that the aunt that held
was
me
like
down?
held you down.
I do.
That was the same. It's the same aunt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely got gifts.
Yeah. And then I called my mom. And today also, she was like, "You've been having any strange dreams lately?" I was like, "What? Stop, y'all." Dang. And then she did the same thing.
Nobody want to hear that.
She's like, "I just want to let you know, like, if you've been going through some stuff, maybe we should have been more open about those topics when you were growing up." She's like, "But, I was young," and she said stuff like that used to freak me out because she's like, "I see shit too." And she's like, "How do you go about talking about it without sounding crazy?" So I thought that was just crazy confirmation.
It's hard to do. But you know what? What I always say is when you put it into words and into outer space, it becomes a real thing because it manifests on its own. So even us doing this podcast all month long, talking about spiritual stuff and talking about paranormal crap could have just ensued a whole path that was closed off.
I do feel like it's,
you know what I mean?
Charged some shit because the fact that we've had weird things happen like almost every episode, and that outside of recording these episodes, we're all having weird shit happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like this, and then the same aunt I told you about, she had a dream that my sister told me about. because she had called her, right after she called me and let her know something completely different, but it was also something she was struggling with. And one of those things where it's like, you wouldn't know unless I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk to this aunt like that. Like, it's one of those aunts where we talk to you when we see you, when we're there in St. Louis.
Oh, gotcha.
So the fact that you're having these things and you already know, like, it's really tricky.
It's really crazy.
And me and my sister have been linked up crazy because we've been having separate conversations about the same things unknowingly until we talked about it yesterday. And she was like, I was just talking, my brother-in-law, Sean, she was like, I was just talking to Sean about this last night before I went to sleep. I'm like, that's fucking crazy, because I was literally having the conversation within myself. So I didn't have anybody else to talk to about it because they weren't going to relate, because they don't know all the family dynamics. But I'm like, we were supposed to talk about this. So,
well, that's like the divine confirming that those conversations need to be had. Like, really.
And then like a number thing came into play. And I love when I say how much I don't believe in certain stuff. I really believe God will come through and he's like, let me show you why it's true. And I'll be like, damn. So we were talking about a certain person and how the number of their like birth year and their month and their day all are the same, which also correlate. Yeah, it's fucking great. It's one of those things where you're like, well, this plus this equals this number, and they're born in this month, and they were born in 19, blah blah, which is the same numbers. So we're like, when we were talking to someone else about it, and they were like, oh, you're having this type of issue, whatever, because this person has these type of traits. Well, that falls under that number for that personality type. In the same way when people are doing their zodiac things and they're like, you know, Tauruses are this, Cancers are this, Libras are that. It was the same thing, just kind of like more, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like, you can't say this shit ain't true because we know it to be true.
Yeah, it's hard to like.
And I'm a pretty rational person. I'm like, I'd like to think I'm
I
pretty
think
logical.
we all are. Like,
but I believe enough. I leave room for the shit that's just unexplainable. I'm not so
that's the part.
Everything has to be explained.
That's that part right there, because I mean, I'm you guys know I'm science minded, like, to begin with. So I always try to debunk shit before I go to that space. But there's just some shit that you can't. How do you? Oh, what is that sound?
It's my phone.
Okay. Okay. Please stop with all the extra sounds.
I'm sorry.
All the scary sounds coming in and out. But no, you always have to debunk shit, especially paranormal stuff, because it's so easy to have something flying in your camera and you'd be like, ooh, it's an orb, when it's not. It's just dust. You know what I mean? Right. Like, so I'm that person. I'm very skeptical, but I also believe in the paranormal. But I always count towards like error instead of just going straight into believing into whatever it is.
It almost makes me feel better, like, okay, I'm not crazy if I can pinpoint that this is something that I can make sense of, but some stuff you just can't make sense of, and I'll surrender to that all day, because I'm like, it has to be something else. But I'm also the type of person, I don't need an answer all the time. No. It could just be something that's like unexplainable. And it was crazy too, because I called my sister when I was driving in back from St. Louis, because I was listening to the podcast I love outside of ours, of course, called Lore. That's L as in Larry, O-R-E as in Edward. It's bomb if you like just really creepy stories, but also fact-based. And he's describing this one story about these people seeing this creature with wings, and that's like 6 feet, 7 feet tall, red eyes. And every time people see it, there are also reports of people having nightmares, right? So
is it like Mothman?
Exactly, right? But here's what I didn't know, bitch. I didn't know the first big sighting of this shit, and then some bad shit going down was right here at the Ohio River Bridge or some shit. And I'm hearing that as I'm driving back into Ohio. It was literally one of those things where it was like, my GPS is like, welcome to Ohio. And then like a couple minutes later with this story, he's like, yeah, it happened on this bridge called Silver Bridge or something. And either a couple of days or weeks after people are saying they're seeing this creature, after people are saying that they're having these nightmares, this bridge goes out. And this lady had a nightmare about a lot of people dying, and she saw floating Christmas presents. This bridge collapsed around in Christmas time.
So, oh my God.
You know, Christmas presents, people in their cars and all that stuff. They even made a movie about it, like 2005 or something, Richard Gere.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then get this bitch. So they said, I'm getting goosebumps right now. They said that was not the only sighting of this creature. Other reports all over the world or whatever, right? And the other big case where people were saying folks were getting headaches, having nightmares, seeing this shit. A couple of weeks later, a whole town was evacuated, and it was the city of Chernobyl, where that plant. Well, yeah, bitch.
Oh,
exactly.
the meltdown.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know they were related. I need to go look that up.
Bro, when I tell you, I was like, get the fuck, what are the odds that you're describing this same creature in nightmares people are having, and then boom, an event that really could have wiped out hella people, and until somebody caught it. I'm like, oh no, oh hell no.
I'm good.
Hell no.
I'm good.
I was real good. I stopped after that because I was like, you know, there's a rabbit hole you go down when you're looking up things and opening up shit. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't like that this shit happened. To me, it's recent. To me, when you're even talking about 1960s, 70s, that shit's
very recent.
That's too recent for me.
Centuries ago.
My parents were alive.
Kind of like,
recent.
What's happening? And if you didn't see like a full manifestation of a creature, as in maybe it wasn't tangible, but I do believe in seeing spiritual shit because I've seen it. And if people see angel of death, or that shit's documented in the Bible or other books that are held to like, you know, in high regard.
Yeah.
I don't feel like everybody's making this shit up. Like,
I don't think you can. I don't.
Why would you?
It's just like, it's like, to me, like giants is in every single culture, religion. There's no way it was a lie. Like, there's no way.
And dragons too. There's too many dragons. Yes. African dragons, Middle Eastern dragons, European dragons, Chinese dragons.
And if you've seen some of these creatures that they'll finally find fossils of or whatever, it's not a hard sell. Yeah. Even when you're reading about like all these Greek myths and about the animals and monsters and all that stuff, none of this shit is a hard sell for me.
No.
At all.
It connects too much. Like, by itself, it feels strange, like in just one story here, one story there. But if you start like looking it up, like you said, you start like connecting the dots, and you're like, wait, so Europe had dragons, China had dragons, all of Asia had dragons, African countries had dragons, like, so all across the fucking world they had dragons? You mean to tell me they're fictional? I don't
Everybody,
think so.
like, no, this was not an ancient bestseller, no.
And especially considering the fact that almost everybody's seen these things in the sky, which brings us to the fun opening of extraterrestrials. I'm like, there's just no way we're the only fucking living creatures out in this bitch. We are on a fucking floating sphere. There's no way.
And the fact that those things are reptilian and dragons are kind of reptilian, and then they talk about those people, those aliens, like, come on, it's too many connections.
They even found like hieroglyphics and different artwork in Africa where it looks like they're aliens, but in astronaut suits. And they're dating this shit back before Christ. So I'm like, there is no fucking way.
I'm telling you.
This is a hoax, or everyone's making it up, or whatever. Because there's only so much hoaxing and making up you can do.
I think there's a lot of history that they have. I have to find this video for you guys, how there's a theory that history is off by 1,000 years right now, as of like they're saying that it should be like 1020, not 2020.
I can believe it.
And that's why like all of those things that happen are closer.
I saw that.
You seen that? It's closer than we think it is. It wasn't 2,000 years ago. It was only like 800 years ago. So it wasn't actually that far ago that all these things happened. There's like this, it was a pretty good theory. I was like into it. I was like, okay, because they're saying they misread something, like the European number 1.
Looks like
it's like 7? An L and a 1 looks very similar, and they're saying that instead of it being a letter, they misrepresented it as the number 1, and that's why we're off by 1,000 years.
I totally believe it.
I was totally down.
Because all we're doing is playing the telephone game where someone's telling someone else something, and then you're saying it, and it's like, that's not what the fuck I said, but here we are. Like, again, not a hard sell.
I'm saying,
at least not for me.
No. But I mean, yes, it's craziness. I'm gonna refill real quick. And D, y'all, I have my box wine. It's my.
There you go.
It's called.
When she said refill, I thought
way
she was
to
gonna
keep
come
it
around
classy.
with a hose.
It's called Provisions. It is fucking delicious.
Leave her alone. She's classy.
Dee said this sounded like a commercial, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Oh, everyday fine wines as opposed to the
not everyday fine wines.
Not everyday fine wines.
The weekend fine wines.
The weekend wine.
I'm so done. Anyway, Dee, you also had a story to tell about the one of the videos I've seen. I never knew about it in detail. What was it called?
Oh, so I wanted to talk about this topic a while ago, but I was like, we need to save this one for the Spooktober. So it's the story of Elisa Lam. Have you heard of that, Brandi? Because I had discussed this with CJ briefly.
No, I mean, like you can tell the story, and maybe I have, but off the top of my head, it's not bringing up anything.
So it's about. So before I start talking about it, it's fairly recent, as in the past, within the past 10 years. So there may be some viewers that may have known this individual or who might be related to this individual. So disclaimer, we're going to be discussing the Elisa Lam case.
So if you're related or if it's a trigger, please cut it off right now.
Right now.
Yes.
Seriously. No,
yes.
seriously.
Because in no way, shape, or form is this to make fun or anything negative toward the situation. It's just a really bizarre situation that I feel like it needs to be covered, especially for this month. Yeah. So Elisa Lam, back on January 26, 2003, 21-year-old Canadian tourist by the name of Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown LA. And it's not in the best part of downtown LA. It's close to Pershing Square, which is Pershing Square is where the US. Is it USAA? No, the US Bank building. It was like the tallest building in LA for a long time. I don't think it is anymore, but it was. If you saw it, you would know what I'm talking about.
You said it was like Skid Row, kind of?
It's close to Skid Row. Okay. So this place, the Cecil Hotel, is not too far from that building. And that building is very close to Skid Row. It's off of it's in between 6th and 7th Street in downtown, and it's in between Main and Los Angeles Street. So it's like in that block.
That little block, and,
yeah. And she checked in, and I think she stayed for about 11 days or so. And it was 11 days into her stay is where they got the last footage of her alive.
Before she disappeared.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she initially was occupying a hostel style room. So it was one big room with several other people occupying the room with her as well. And she was later transferred by hotel staff to a single room because other hotel staff occupants were complaining of odd behavior from her. She was displaying really odd, bizarre behavior. So the hotel felt it would be in their best interest to move her. Now, what's that?
I'm sorry. Did they say what kind of behavior it was?
They did not. So from the information that I was able to see, they did not go into detail what that odd behavior was, but that was the first time that I had ever heard that. And I had been hearing about this since it was fresh back in 2019.
Yeah, I didn't know the details about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the first time I had ever heard it. Was the day before yesterday. So that was pretty crazy. But she was missing. No one knew where she was. Hotel staff was unaware of her whereabouts until occupants of the hotel started to complain about the water. They said that the water, whenever they would turn on the shower or the sink, the water would come out black, and then after the color kind of came back too, where it was clear again, it had a funny smell to it and had a funny taste. It was like a sick, sweet type of taste and smell.
Ew.
So they were reporting it to hotel staff. They sent a member of their facilities team to the roof to check out the water tank to see what was going on with the water tank. Upon his investigation, he discovered the body of 21-year-old Elisa Lam inside of the tank. Naked.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait, she was naked?
Was this a story about a tank that was so big or high where people were like, how the fuck did she even get there?
How the fuck did she get on top?
Yes. So we all know about the story that I just never got details. Yeah.
Because that was the weirdest part about the story to me, because they were basically being like, ain't no damn way.
Yeah. So it was pretty messed up. So the only way that you could access the roof is it was employee access only. So I'm not sure if they have a badge or a code for you to access that door. to get out into the roof. The only other way to access it is by climbing a fire escape. And I want to say it was above, I know it's more than 10 floors that you had to climb to get there. And that's a hard climb to up, you know.
Yeah.
Most fire escapes, you go down to
And
escape the fire.
And she was naked. So.
Naked. But her clothes were found inside the tank, which was weird. She was in there floating naked with her clothes, but she didn't have them on.
What?
And the lid was fairly heavy. And from what I was able to see, she wasn't a very large girl.
Right. No, she was like little, because I remember seeing the video of her last video where she runs into the elevator and she like looks out to see if it looks like she was looking for somebody who was following her or something. And then she pulls back into the elevator and tries to hide to the side of the elevator.
I saw that.
You've seen that, right? Oh, I gave myself goosebumps too.
Because then I was looking like, is this girl high or something? I was like, what the fuck is she seeing or
right? But that's the girl who
she was running from something.
Yes. And then she got found in the tank. I didn't know about the tank part. That's the crazy thing. Like, I didn't know the stories behind it. Like, that's so crazy. So I'm trying to figure out, like, did they even investigate any of it? Did they find anything?
So the creepy part about it is I did hear something about, I'm not sure if it was LA County or the city of LA. Mm-hmm. We're doing some sort of a test on people. And the investigation was titled Lam Elisa. And I guess they were doing tests on people. So I don't know if they were testing people who were exposed to this water.
What?
And trying to see if maybe, like, to see if, you know, they got some kind of crazy infection. I don't know if it was like going that route, like CDC type shit, like we need to make sure these people are okay, or if it was more sinister. So there's some people that believe it was tied into the government. There's other people that believe that she was actually either possessed. Because I'm not sure if you noticed on the footage how at first it seems like she was hiding, then it appeared like something took over her body. Because she started moving very odd.
Weird, shit.
Mm-hmm. So
I remember it was weird.
Yeah. Very weird. In that specific hotel, there has been a lot of suicides. A lot of people have been jumping. A lot of people would jump from the hotel. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe people have access to the roof. Maybe it's easier than you know, what they say it is, because so many people have been jumping. But the reports say that they jumped. They didn't say that they jumped from the roof.
You made a good point in the sense of saying, if we're even going to go with what we believe spiritually, something took you over, automatically your regular worldly strength is done for. Now you have some spiritual strength about yourself, so you can get some shit done that your worldly body could not get done. That's why I think that they always depict these people being possessed and then being super strong, super violent, super whatever. They are like souped up. But you even notice it, funny enough, when my brother-in-law worked in a facility where there were people that had different handicaps or different things going on with them mentally, he would always be like, they are really strong. I remember my ex saying that too, when he would work with people that had just different issues going on. They have a different type of strength. So again, when you're touched, because they used to call them people touched, right? They did. I really do think you can tap into something that we normally can't, whether it's willingly or unwillingly. Yeah. And it's very possible she did this herself, in the sense of there was nobody else, but there was something else.
Right.
It's kind of, that's kind of how I felt when people remember that one little short stint where everybody was getting caught in Florida with bath salts and acting crazy? And
writing people's faces off.
I refuse to believe it was bath salts. I'm sorry. Like, I think it was something else completely different. Yeah. I don't think they had any other like logical explanation, and that's why they went with that. I really do. Because up until then, there was nothing of the sort. Like, I think it was some kind of experiment or some kind of spiritual entity that got loose, or an experiment that went wrong.
I would rather have it be the spiritual entity than experiment, because I'm not ready for a zombie outbreak. I didn't finish the Walking Dead yet.
I can't handle that shit.
I don't want to deal with that. I'm like, my skills are better spiritual than they are like some real world zombies.
No, that's true. Same. That, spiritually stronger, for sure.
I'm definitely spiritually stronger.
For sure.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
So what made this shit even crazier is that so not only were there a lot of suicides in this hotel, this hotel back in the 40s was the last place that people had reported seeing the Black Dahlia alive.
Oh shit!
Was at the Cecil Hotel.
That's
also,
crazy.
Was that?
I said that's crazy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said something else. But yeah,
no, we were both just continue.
Yeah. So yeah, the last place that they see the Black Dahlia, there's an unsolved murder that took place at this hotel in 1964. Then there was a serial killer by the name of Jack. I think it was Untergerber or something like that. He was associated with this hotel, who had killed someone in this hotel.
So this hotel is attracting people.
A Satanist by the name of Richard Ramirez, who was like knocking motherfuckers off from 1984 to 1985. He was like a well-known Satanist.
I was just gonna say that. It's a portal.
That is a hub. It's a portal. That's a hot spot.
It is. It has to be. It has to be. Like, it's so funny when we're talking about this. I remember a lot of things that my grandmother used to say too, along with my dad. But my grandmother used to say, like, even in the ocean, if people drown in the ocean, you should avoid going to that area during certain times of the year when portals open between here and there, is what she would say. So like Obon, you're not supposed to be going swimming in the ocean during Obon season.
Really?
And Shimi season, that's like March, April-ish. No swimming in the water, none of that, because the layers between this world and that world the veil's supposed to be thinner. You know what I mean? Because they're crossing over back and forth.
I can believe it because history has several legitimate accounts of people seeing ghost ships. Even the Queen Mary that's like ported over in California right now, and it's just like a hub because you just have that energy sitting there of, death, despair, and the same things just keep happening over and over again in different ways. There were even people saying that when they shut down, because they built that ship into a hotel, I think later. And then they were saying the floor that had like the pool and everything else like that was shut down. But then people in the 60s and 70s started reporting that they would see like wet footprints, but the pool had been drained for decades. But they would feel. Did you say nope?
Nope.
And nope. Yeah, it's not a place I want to tour. I don't get off of that.
I wouldn't want to be there.
I can't
want to be there.
No touring of haunted hotels, ghost ships, none of that shit. I'm like, leave those people and those things alone.
Yep, I can't do that shit. No thank you.
I feel like it's so disrespectful almost. I'm like, I can't. And people be really excited.
And people, like, my grandmother used to say that people, like, a lot of times when it's like a hub or a portal or a spot like that, people die the same way every single time.
Yes. There's a place when I was listening to that podcast I was telling you about, and he had a couple that were heavy New Orleans based, and just going through the history of that place before the French settlers and other people got there. Of course, Native Americans, Indians were there,
right?
And apparently there was a group that was like, look, if you keep pushing us back and killing us, curse upon you and this place, period. And then that even manifested into voodoo queens and priestesses, because there's one that she's documented as being called like Mary White, Mary Green, I want to say Mary Brown, like just different colors, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But she's documented under those different
names. Yeah.
But the day that she was about to die or whatever, because she used to predict when towns in different places were going to meet their demise. So she told the people of that town she's going to die, and she knew when she was going to die, she's going to take everybody else with her. So there were people,
she wasn't playing around.
Was not playing no games. So there were people that respected her and wanted to see her off. There were other people that were just happy to see her die, because for the longest time, we apparently loved seeing fucking public executions or people being buried or whatever.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Really weird, right?
Right.
Especially how fake conservative that Americans can act. But anyway, so another story. But anyway, I guess that same day or weekend or whatever the fuck, a Category 4 hurricane comes in and wipes out everybody like she said it would. And there's reports of her basically saying, like, this is just shit that's going to keep happening. Which, again, people can, you know, muster away by saying, hey, because of where it's located, hurricanes are going to hit it anyway, woo, woo, blah, blah.
Right.
All of that I can believe is true. But when you have shit down to a science, when you can give dates, or when people do keep dying in the same way, because he mentioned that there are mansions where people, of course, were mistreating slaves, and slaves would have run away, or they would jump from these buildings in the French quarters or whatever, just trying to get away. So then when you have people staying there in the hotels and everything else, they're reporting seeing people they know jump off, and then they're driven crazy. Or people themselves kill themselves in the same way the slaves were, or the Native Americans were years before. It's not a far-fetched concept that these theories.
You know what I think? You know what I think a lot of that stuff is, especially people who say that they see shit that keeps occurring. I honestly think, because me and my cousin were having a conversation about energy and how energy works. So if you're
I'm looking for my charger right now, y'all. So sorry if I go out.
No, you're okay.
You're good. But say if you're in a situation to where you're not feeling very well, you might go to a place where you find peace or you find happiness. You go to that place because when you were there, you experienced something positive, something good. And I think that energy stays there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you go back to feed off of that same energy. And I think it works with both negative and positive things.
Yeah, for sure.
So if there's a situation where there's a constant, you know, there's constantly terrible things happening, like for instance, in, you know, that case that Brandi was talking about, like with slavery, for instance, a lot of terrible, horrible shit was happening over and over again. That's a lot of terrible, horrible, fucked up energy that's still there. And I think energy loops, because they say energy can't be created or destroyed. So I think that shit is in a loop, kind of like how song is on repeat. So something happens, something terrible happens, that energy stays there and you see it playing in a loop. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
And like if your own soul and spirit get caught in the loop, that's where you go and do the same thing that they did.
You see what I'm saying? I think you could be influenced by that shit.
Oh yeah.
That's why whenever people see that they, you know, people say that they see ghosts, and it's always the ghost doing the same thing. Like, oh yeah, what the ghost does, they walk this path and they do this and they do that. It's just a recreation of the actual energy that was left behind by that individual. May not be a ghost, but it's the energy that was left behind.
Residual
You're seeing the residual stuff. And it's something so
shit.
traumatic and something so horrible. Of course, it may manifest in some shit that you could actually see. Because it's so intense. You know what I'm saying? And I think you can get sucked into that bullshit if you allow yourself to be open to it. If you ain't prayed up, you might get sucked down that rabbit hole.
Prayed up and bless up, nigga. Just
better do it.
You know what that just reminded me of, pulled into and stuff? The hospital story that I have. Like, so back in Okie, my friend, I don't know if I should name it, I'm just calling him CNR. We went to our friend's, our friend who had passed away had been hospitalized at this particular hospital in Okinawa. And we were like, let's go visit him. And so he had been in a room at the very end of the hall the whole time, but we didn't know, the three of us didn't know that he had moved up closer to where the entrance was to that hallway. So we were getting ready to walk down this hallway to go to the room that we thought he was still in, right? So which is all the way down at the end of the hall. So me and C and R are walking. I'm in the middle between C and R. And we walk in, and all of a sudden I can't move. And C can't move. C grabs my arm so hard, it hurt a little bit. R keeps walking. He didn't feel anything. What happened was, I'm walking. Oh my God, I'm giving myself goosebumps. I'm walking. Let's say this is the plane I'm walking on, like the hallway ground. The ground felt like it went like this.
Gross as fuck.
Where my feet was and where C's feet were. So we were walking, and all of a sudden it goes like this. Like, it felt like the environment, like the vortex just like pulled us in.
Bent your plane. Like,
and bent my plane where I couldn't go. And so C holds my arm and is looking at me. I have a flash of this old man. I'm assuming Okinawan because he looked Asian. Okinawan guy with the gold tooth right here. I still remember, if I like think about this story, I always remember exactly what he looks like. But that's the flash that I got. And I'm pretty sure either we walked through him or he was like there just hanging out, and our planes meshed at some point.
Yeah, them flashes ain't no joke.
Oh, I think it's so gross.
So do you think that's what that is when you have them flashes? You think you hit another plane and saw
I
some
think
bullshit?
something is either you cross paths or you were just like, running into something. Now, our, on the other hand, is like a whole ass block down, because he's like, and then he turns around, he's like, what are y'all doing? And we were just like, y'all, you didn't feel that? Like, you didn't feel that. We just were like, are you kidding me? So we get to the room and Jay's not there, and they're like, oh, they moved him to like the first room we already passed.
So you gotta go back past this.
So we have to go back past this. And me and C are like, no, we don't want to do this today. We went, but the whole, like, it was very similar to the vortex me and Dee felt at P's mom's house.
Yeah.
Where she was reading playing cards.
Yeah, regular playing cards, not even tarot cards.
Brandy's favorite thing, reading cards and things.
Right.
It wasn't even
yeah.
And yes, you can read playing cards, because I read about that too. But she used playing cards to read, and I was like, I was not ready, because I was sitting here, she was across the way from me, and Dee was on the side between us on the table, and she was about to start talking, and all I felt was this like ring go.
The air, it was in Texas in the summertime, July. It got cold as fuck outside.
Bitch, cold. Hell nah. Pass.
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm gonna need these Asian ladies to calm down. I mean, I can't really talk. I'm one of them, but like,
you know what I'm saying? I was like, CJ, did you
I just
feel
looked
that
at
shit?
him and I was like, I'm not ready for this shit. I mean, I literally felt like a gate just went whoosh, opened up in front of my face. I could feel the air like change. It went
everything. Even the way shit looked kind of changed. Like,
it was just so weird.
Like everything went into HD or some shit. It was the craziest shit.
So crazy. I couldn't even like. So like my thing is like whenever I can feel the environment or planes changing, I can't do it. Like that's the only thing I hate. I hate it.
Because the way I look at shit like that, I'm always like, you don't know what the fuck you're inviting in. That is my whole thing. You don't know what you're opening. That's why I won't try certain shit. Because I'm like, you don't know what you're opening up your mind and body to. And when you've seen shit, you just don't want to take any chances. I won't even watch certain shit. I won't listen to certain shit. Because I'm like, no, something could happen. And I'm
think it's okay to mess around with like things like Ouija boards. Like, I won't. I can't. One of the places I worked at before had Ouija board T-shirts and underwear and all kinds of stuff, and people would laugh at me because I'd be like, "I'm not folding them shirts. I'm just not. Y'all can do it. Like I'm not touching it. I'm not touching them panties with the Ouija boards on it. I'm not."
They have Ouija board panties?
Yeah, they
they're marketing this like they did the unicorn thing, which is another conversation.
Oh, we gotta talk about that.
There's shit that they like to push for different reasons and seasons, and I'm like, you know what you're doing. That's why I primarily don't trust the government. Shout out to the agent listening to this conversation. Because I'm like,
and then our YouTube channel gets shut down.
Right, this shit all the way down. My son was so funny too, because he was like, you make sure like when you're making the videos, I don't want you to like not miss out on opportunities. He's like, you guys could probably get paid. He's so excited about us having these 50 subscribers. It's adorable. Then he's like, yeah, just make sure that you don't give a reason for them to like shut you down or say they can't use you. Like, so don't be cussing a lot. And I was like,
oh my God, he's such a new kid, new millennial kid. He's a new Gen
He's all
Z.
Aware of the freaking
Gen Z
YouTube
kid.
Policies. That's crazy.
He's so aware. It's like ridiculous.
Listen,
he's
kids now don't
aware.
play. My 4-year-old talking about with her little play cell phone the other day. She in the back of my car talking about, oh, my phone's not working right, Mama. I said, what? It's not? She said, and I think the battery's gonna die. I need to charge it. I said, oh, okay. Like
it's crazy to hear. You know what I'm saying? That
she just turned 4. She just turned 4.
No, they understand. I mean, you saw the picture of him in that suit, D. You know that's
when his solo album dropping.
What'd you say?
I said when his solo album dropping.
He really laughed at that one because he was like, what were they saying? I was like, between you look like their dad and between you going solo in the group had me so weak.
I had to come back. I know y'all saw it. I was showing Rob. I was like, look at this. Look at his son. And then I was like,
it was the pose that got me. For those that don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I posted a picture of my son and his family members for my mom's wedding, and he has on his suit, and the rest of them are throwing up gang signs, and my son's just like,
he's standing there like Steve Harvey. He's standing like Steve Harvey, and
Yeah.
He definitely was.
That he had his shoes and his point on point, like it was like in the right place. Had the right hand in the pocket. Like
it was like effortless. I was like, where were you learning to pose like this?
I don't know, but he did that
like
with
a
the table
grown ass man.
Like a grown man, like he had money. Like nigga, I was like, let me borrow some. You look like you got money.
Oh my god, this chat is making me hot. I don't know what this is. I like random stuff in my house.
I didn't even know what that was.
I think
I thought she had dreads when I first seen
it. Freddie.
I swear to God, I thought she had dreads too. I was like, okay.
Dreads.
I was like, all right, that's what we doing.
I was like, okay, she's trying something different. Okay.
That's too much.
I was like, I ain't gonna say nothing to her because you know you can't say nothing to her.
I'm done.
Or she'll take you out of the triangle group.
No, deleted.
Delete. I was like,
your group.
I sent her a screenshot so fast. I was like, bitch, I think that's what I said. I was like, bitch, what is this? And she was like, oh, I must have had my phone in my hand.
So I was holding
You thought you really got fired.
Yeah, she thought she got fired.
Listen, let her explain it because it just sounds like some bullshit.
It would be CJ to fire somebody though. She would be.
It would totally be CJ.
I love firing people. That was my.
I hate firing people.
I know people hate doing it. I had a manager that was higher up than me who would make me fire people because she didn't like doing it. And I was like her assistant. And I was like, I'll fucking do it. Like, I'm
too direct. My approach is very direct when it comes to discipline because I don't like to. If you did something wrong, there's no sugarcoating it. This is what you did. Sign this document, please.
Oh yeah.
You signed the policy when you got this position.
Yeah,
so
I'm softer now, but back in the day, I was like, hey.
Well, to be fair with that, a lot of times we're signing shit just because we're trying to make it to that first paycheck. You ain't really reading this shit.
But you know,
I know for the place I work for, and since I have 3 jobs, I can be slick about how I talk about this place. But when they literally adjust schedules to the company's need, and they have the right to do that with your ass because you basically signed paperwork that you didn't read all the way that said, if we decide we're opening at 7 a.m. and closing at 10 p.m., your ass need to be here. Like, you've already agreed. We're not reading that shit like that. We're just trying to get to the paycheck. So I get what you were saying, but I'm also like, come on now.
The holiday schedule, when I posted holiday schedules for retail, because retail's hardcore. My God. They, like, some of the new kids would be like, wait, we have to work like at 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. I was like, oh, did you not read
Black Friday.
your handbook? It's Black Friday.
They're like,
they're like, but it's Thanksgiving. I was like, oh no, we open, sweetie. We are open. We're open at like 5 p.m. all the way through the next
Whenever a holiday falls on one of my off days, I always like cry a little bit, like a single tear. I'm like, I'm off? Because like, especially working in Vegas, these hotels don't close.
Well,
they're like, what time does your front desk close? I'm like, it doesn't.
Right. Everybody is, if somebody's staying, then somebody got to be. It's like the truck stop. Remember, we didn't have locks on our doors.
Yes, we didn't.
Because it was 24/7. So when the power
wait a minute,
went out,
you hoes were working at a truck stop together. I think you talked about this before.
Yeah.
Yes, the Flying J. We worked there together.
J.
Truck stops that are 24 hours don't have locks on their doors. And when the power would go out, we had to like go get like locks off the shelf and lock it so people can't get in. And shit like that because there's no lock the door.
Interesting.
And and people are like, well, you guys are working on Christmas and Thanksgiving, like, because
you're here like, because driving. You're here. That's why I'm working because your bitch ass up in here.
Your ass is here.
Do you say that louder for the people in the back? Why don't they realize that? They'll call up to the call center and be like, oh wow, you guys are in today? Yeah, because we knew you were gonna fucking call. Like, and then call with an attitude like, oh, why was it going to take this long to get the part? And I'm like, well, it was this holiday weekend. So, nobody was here Friday. People were out Monday. We're technically starting the next business day, which is Tuesday. But they're not thinking that we should have days off or we should.
Oh, yeah, because we're not human at all.
Very much we should have had whatever we wanted last week. And I'm like, you guys are.
My favorite was when people went Christmas shopping and retail and they're there the Christmas Eve. And they're like, what do you mean you don't have a size 9 in these boots? I need it for my daughter. Well, it's 2 hours before Christmas Day. Your ass should have been here 3 weeks ago when we got a shipment in. Like, how do you expect to get people? Well, can you just check the back? Our back room is empty. It's Christmas Eve. There is nothing.
Girl, you'll tell them
there.
everything you know, and they'll still gonna ask you, are you sure you don't? Are you sure?
As I got
at least
older,
go check. Go check.
Yeah.
And
Can you just check? I'm like,
as I got older though, and like obviously I don't work at any of these retail companies, so I can say this now, but like sometimes if they were like crazy fucking customer, I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna take about 2 minutes to go look for you because I know there might be one left. And this is when I used to smoke. I'll go out the back door and fucking smoke. Have a cigarette. They can wait.
They come back and we're back.
And then they'll be like, oh my God, nothing. I was like, I looked and looked and looked. Because you're gone for like 3 minutes when you're smoking.
Right.
Like, it's long enough for them to be satisfied. Or when I stopped smoking, I just walk back there, like, watch a couple of videos on Instagram and like
we'll use the bathroom.
Use the bathroom, grab my drink, take a bite to eat out of my lunch. Whatever, you know what I'm saying?
And then come back like, well, I'm sorry, we just couldn't find it.
Like, but here's the thing, we also taught that to our employees, like, just go back there, even if you know that we don't have it, like, even if that whole shelf of boots is empty, just go back there. Because
this is what I learned. Perception is reality. So if you give the perception
that I hate that line.
Trying my hardest. Oh my God. Right. Me too. It's the worst. I hate it, but it's the reality of our situation.
Anytime I've given a customer like an attitude, like I've really just been exhausting all options and really I haven't, they are just so much happier. What I like to do over the phone too, because one job is over the phone, the other are in person. Mm-hmm. When they're like, oh, I can't hear you, our connection's bad, can you speak up? I love saying the same shit in the same exact tone. And I literally ask, is this better? And they'll go, yeah, that's a lot better. I didn't change shit. But you think I did, so you're happier somehow. Like, it's really so weird. You right on that. I'll be like, welcome to blah, blah, blah. My name is Brandi. How can I help you? Can you speak up? I can hear you. Is this better?
Call your job one day and work with you. I can't wait. Where do you work?
You sound like my dad. He said he was going to call just to have me go off.
You know what? Your dad has every right to call you and fuck with you the way you be treating him.
Fuck you, CJ. Fuck you.
You know, open the door. She's like, where my plate at? Like, whoa.
He's used to it. That's how we get down.
Gosh,
I think the best one is that I got I think this was a chat. So people can communicate with us via chat also. And the lady was very upset because, am I saying too much? Too late. I already started the story. So she was mad because she was like, okay, so I overnighted a package to myself and it has an article of clothing that I really need for tonight. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, well, the business center is closed. Mm-hmm. We can send someone to the business center to see if they can get it from the room, but it hadn't made it to the business center. She's like, well, I checked FedEx. FedEx says it's here on property.
Right.
And we're like, it's here. Okay, yeah, but it's probably on the dock and it hasn't been sorted yet. So
right. I hate that. Yeah.
And it's just like, I overnighted it to okay, well, I think you should call FedEx.
Right. Yeah.
Because the business center is FedEx. FedEx is not us. So if it's here. Yeah, you're everything, right? She's like, it's here. I don't understand why you can't just get it for me. I'm like, it's in a fucking truck. I can't get into the truck.
Dude, that's the thing, right? Like when I had store orders and stuff at my last place, they would order, and the FedEx guys, these fucking assholes, I hate them. They would get to the parking lot in the mall and check in themselves. You know what I mean? Like check the boxes in the truck before they delivered it. So the minute that gets checked in and scanned, customers are fucking calling and they're like, hey, my package there? Like, no, bro. Like, and here's the thing. Our customers at that place, once the package arrived into my store, we would scan it on our computer and they would receive an email that it was in the store, not just at the fucking mall. Like,
so the person on the top calling the shots is so far from operations that they're oblivious to all of this shit. And at the end of the day, you're the one still at fault.
Yeah. And they're like, well, FedEx says they delivered. My tracking number says it's at the mall. I was like, I understand. I know it's at the mall.
Oh my God, stay out of my work life.
It's like in the mall vicinity. Like, it's probably in the parking lot in the truck where he scanned it, and he
Have
hasn't
you ever
even
told somebody like where their package is, and it's literally like because they didn't look?
Oh God, all the time. All
What
the
is
time.
that? It's like, oh, they said it was delivered. Did you check? Well, I can. What the fuck?
Like, you didn't just open your front door and look.
Listen, every single time. They're like, oh, it was right here by the garage. Yeah, nigga. Yeah. After you done blew down on me. We have to, saying all that, because we done slid down a customer service rabbit hole, we have to do a customer service episode.
I think we should do one around the holidays.
We have to do that.
My friend is
and then
doing...
you have to name it, CJ, you have to name it the How Can I Help You episode, since you always start with a
for sure. For sure. My acquaintance, I shouldn't say friend, my acquaintance on Facebook is doing a month of retail horror stories for October.
That's
on his
phenomenal.
page. And it's
That's
hilarious.
the best.
He used to work for Hot Topic, so, and I'm very, very familiar with it because Torrid and Hot Topic was the same company until they actually split for legal reasons or whatever. But dude, like, the people there, I can't. It's a whole nother. Yeah, we definitely need another.
We need a customer service episode, because baby, that's gonna be a 2-part series within itself.
Oh, for sure. Well, where do you even start? Do you start with customers? Do you start with the people you work with? Like, retail
we're gonna cover everything. Again, this is gonna be a multi-part. We're gonna cover the call center aspect of it, because I've noticed people in person and people when you're at a call center is two completely different
on
the phone,
baby, on them phones. I'm like, nigga, what did you say?
You know, those people would never talk to you in person like that.
You would never have that much gumption, the balls of it all to come at me.
The fucking audacity.
The audacity, the caucasity, all of it. All of it. I'm like, you would never. And then my favorite thing they do on the phones, because they think it's gonna mean shit to me, is, and what's your name? Brandi with an I. Like, what you think that's gonna do? I'm literally the only Brandi in this office.
It's like, so
what else you want to know?
People taking my name. I don't know. In the 17 years that I worked retail, I can tell you that they've taken my name many a times because they were upset that I couldn't do something that was against policy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and they call corporate, and what they do. What I hated about when people would call corporate, this is at different locations, and they pretty much did the same thing. They would give the customer like a gift card to help them feel better.
Yeah.
And that makes them think that they were right, which they weren't. Because if they were right, I would have lost my job. I didn't. But if you give them a $25 gift card to shut them up, they're going to think they did the right thing. And I could not understand the theory behind that, because I'm like, you are giving them more ammunition to do the same shit every time they come in.
And I think I deal with like a lot of the generation that came from the customer was always right. You didn't need to prove it. You didn't need receipts. You didn't need this. No backup. It was just the fact that there was an angry customer in your facility. You're just going to cater to that. But I'm like, this ain't that no more.
But also that era of customers were also not customers who brought back return items from 2 years ago. They literally brought back 30-day items that you knew were still in store. You know what I mean?
And it was before Yelp and fucking TripAdvisor and shit.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yelp. People can't wait to say, I'm going to write a review about this.
People threaten you with that. And it's like,
they do.
Well, I can't stop you from doing that, but I'm here to help.
I will say this, though. When it does count,
I'll be back.
It does create enough movement to shut companies down.
That's the fuck.
For example, now this is a whole nother thing, but like, for example, the white dude that called that black guy a nigger, and like,
child,
and people went on Yelp, and he was upset that he lost his company, but we were like, you did it to yourself. But people left so many negative reviews that people stopped using his plumbing company or AC company, whatever it was, because the video had the name of his company on the truck. You know,
wow. I mean?
So people in that area recognized it, looked it up, and so many negative reviews. But that's what I'm saying. But because we've come to a culture where we're like, if we do record somebody who's doing something bad, everybody gangs up and then everybody gets fired. And yes, sometimes they deserve it, sometimes they don't. It just kind of depends on the situation.
It's that whole like the cancel culture.
Oh God, I hate the cancel culture.
It is not just a Black thing. And if you're Black, you definitely know about the cancel culture without us even like going
cancel. What do you like? What does that mean?
You know, like
so as soon as we peep, and I'm saying we, like I talk for all the Black people, right? As soon as Black people decide that you did some shit that was non-Black and they not feeling it, you're canceled. So, case in point, any guy, I've noticed it too, because they pick particular ones. If you are of color, in your movies and your TV shows and love interests there and everything are always Black-based, but in real life, you're with anything but a Black woman, they're like, you're canceled.
Yeah, it's too much for me. And
or if you're supporting Trump, you're canceled.
Like,
you know what I mean? They're
social
like, nah.
media makes it so easy for people to passively aggressively bully each other.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
That's what it is. Like,
that's the bullying.
Because nobody would ever talk to these people in person like that. You would get knocked the fuck out. Are you kidding?
Listen,
let somebody talk to me like that in person when I'm not on the clock.
I've had moments with different races where I'm like, really? But there has not been a lot of them in person. There's been plenty over the phone.
Right.
But there hasn't been a lot in person because I'm like, I ain't my ancestors.
You better say that again. I had one.
We are in a different generation and we ain't playing with y'all, baby. At all.
The dude at the truck stop one time who thought I was Mexican told me to go back to the border, which still pissed me off because I'm a person of color. And I went full in. I was like, well, you're not getting fuel here. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, you just told me to go back to the border. You told me to go back to Mexico. I was like, I'm not helping you. And he was like, well, you're going to have to. I was like, actually, I don't know if you know.
Actually, I don't.
We can refuse service. And I was like, and I called out to one of the maintenance guys. I was like, can you grab his DOT number? Because our computer at the time, you can type in the DOT number and it'll pull up the company, the person in charge, his supervisor. All of that is in one system at truck stops.
That's pretty cool.
It's crazy, right? That's how cops can pull over 18-wheelers, look up their DOT and know if they've been riding. All that other stuff. So the guy was out of fuel. I don't know how he got out. I think he got to get towed, but I refused to let him. I think he thought that he was going to be able to get fuel there after he could go back to the border. And I was like, you have got to be out of your fucking mind.
Which is also like a scary thing, speaking of that, because it's like, who's like supporting this behavior? Because there's no way this is just you by yourself.
And how many times has he gotten away with that? Like telling people shit like that, nobody stood up.
This is before Trump. I'm talking, Flying J?
It was like 06, 05, 06.
05, 06, 07, somewhere around there. It's been 12 years. 12 years ago. Ain't nothing changed. The only thing that changed is everybody got smartphones and it's all over social media now.
Right, because I'm like, there's no way that shit like Emmett Till and Rodney King and other shit that's been heavily documented can happen and people still get away with it or still get a slap on the wrist, but
that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story.
Okay, that's a whole nother story. So my phone's about to die, and it's also 1:30 in the morning.
And yes, you have to get up. And we had some technical difficulties today. So here's the thing, guys. If you are listening or watching, next week will be our actual Halloween episode. So you think we can try for a longer one? Let's start getting ready half an hour earlier than usual. And that way we can start right at our regular time and then we can do 2 hours. And that way we can get all of our stories in.
Yay.
And,
I'm cool with that.
And I feel like if we can, I would love to hear more stories from our viewers and listeners because the questions are awesome. The stories are awesome. I got to go and post some comments. We had a viewer on YouTube talking about the Cora the witch story.
What they say?
She was saying that it was very familiar to her, and she started looking up about the oak tree and stuff because they mention it in TV shows like the Vampire Diaries. They mentioned
Okay.
the oak tree and things, and that's the vampire story.
I think that's Riri. That was Sheree. Whatever.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay, Ree. Lady Ree.
What's up,
I gotta
With
go
her
see.
YouTube, she also has a YouTube
It's
channel.
so
I forget
long.
what the name of it is, but she does makeup and stuff, y'all.
Oh, okay. So we gotta shout her out. I'm gonna go look it
Shout
up.
out to
But
her.
I know she responded again, so I need to go look at it. But she was talking about some TV shows who like have these stories like woven into their stuff. So some of these like writers are really doing their research. Like,
I mean, I'm telling you, they know their shit.
I've been watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like I think I told you before, but
Yeah.
I just finished season 1. I'm starting season 2, and they have done their research. And it's actually really creepy because it's too much. And I'm like, this is a lot. Like,
Yeah.
But if you guys have any comments like that too, we'd love to hear from you. If you've seen like movies, TV shows that incorporated things that we talked about or things you want us to talk about, let us know. And even after the spooky month is over, if you have comments about it, totally send it this way. We'll still talk about it. We love
Oh
it.
yeah, we're so open to talk about
Yeah, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah. But if you are enjoying our episode and would love to hear more, this is your first time around, make sure you subscribe to your favorite podcast platform. And if you're watching us on YouTube with our shenanigans, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you get a new episode.
Who's over there?
I don't know.
Is it here?
Someone.
I'm on my phone, so I can't see.
I can't tell either. I always flip.
Also, to watch the creepy footage of Elisa Lam, will you put something in the description box below?
Yes, if I can't find it, I'm gonna reach out to you, D, so you can send me the link.
Okay.
By the way, did you guys get to see the thing I tagged you in, the creepy dummy doll that was
that dummy from like 19 whatever?
Oh yeah, no, I saw it and I was like,
I saw it too.
I'm gonna watch it at high noon outside in the desert with a lot of people around.
Not high noon.
Not
I
high
watched
noon.
it during the day too. I
Noon.
actually thought it was gonna be a gag video, like one of those scary ones. So I had my volume down, and turns out it's a real video. And and I was like, oh
yeah,
it's
there was
Liverpool.
no reason for me to press play. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I was like, So if you guys see any videos that you guys want us to check out too, please send them our way. You can DM us.
No, send them CJ's way, because I ain't watching
Yeah, because I ain't trying
I'll
to see
check
that
him out.
I ain't trying to see that shit. She'll watch it.
Oh my God. But just send it to us or email it to us. Our email is the triangle. It's TH the number 3 triangl@gmail.com. Send us your comments, your like questions. If you hate anything you heard, let us know. We won't care, but let us know.
We won't care.
Yo, motherfucking ass. No, I'm just playing.
No, we warned everybody.
We'll
we already told you everything's gonna be taboo based. It's not safe for work. We curse a lot. We say what's on our mind, and we don't give a fuck.
And we're not experts, so we don't need nobody ever trying to check us again about, oh, well, you actually didn't know this or you didn't mention that. We don't give a fuck.
We don't give a
we
fuck.
Are not
we go
experts
off of
on
what
anything.
We hear and what we see, just like you do.
Yeah,
so suck the inside of my black ass with the straw.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Get all that Gatorade out, huh?
I hate you so much. Oh my God. Keep. Oh my God. Keep track of us, you guys. We drop a new episode every Thursday. I'm gonna yell over these motherfuckers. New episode every Thursday at noon Central. Damn it. So terrible.
Oh man.
Next week I have saved all my crazy stories for next week, so we'll do that. Maybe if I have time, it'll be even more than that. But you guys bring your A game, scary stories too.
We're excited. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna try to make sure I'm on time next week, because next week, that Monday is actually when I'm gonna be on set for 12 hours, because your girl gets to be in a movie. And no, it's not porn. I hate all my guy friends. I hate my guy friends. My guy friends be like, oh, they be so quick to think it's porn.
Softcore still counts.
No, not softcore. I'm done.
Look, I have done more for free, so might as well start getting paid, right? No, but it's not. It's not that at all. It's about Fred Hammond. The Black Panther, not Wakanda Forever Black Panther, but you know,
real
Black Panthers. But they're going to be filming here in Cleveland, and I had I was updating CJ with this, but I put just some random pictures I took out there because I have no professional headshots. And long story short, they put the picture in front of a director, and they want me to come in, so I'm doing fittings tomorrow.
Nice.
So I have to like go to sleep, and then we film
Okay,
shoot
Brandi.
Monday. So
let me know if you need an acting coach. Let me know.
Listen, I already told you you're my manager, so I'm gonna put everything your way.
Awkward.
Fucking Shatner over here.
Pretty much, and then I'll sneak D in and be like, he's a part of my glam squad, but really I'm doing everything, and he's not doing shit but chilling in the trailer and eating all the crafts.
When you become famous, don't forget about us.
Oh God, I don't want to be famous. I want the access and the money, but I want my privacy.
I mean, like, you could be famous and still be private. Like,
it depends on the level of fame. But I'll tell you one thing I'm done doing, being in a fucking cube the rest of my life. Like, hell nah.
Hey,
you know who I want to be famous like?
Who?
I want to be famous like how Michael Blackson is famous. Like, if I saw Michael Blackson in a store, I wouldn't be like, oh, Michael Blackson. I would just be like, oh, damn. Is that Michael Blackson? I want that amount of privacy. So if I live next door to Michael Blackson, like nobody would really.
I'm okay with people knowing a few things about me, but I like the Ryan Reynolds and Blake privacy.
Lively,
yeah. Like they're.
You know who's even more private than them? Fucking the other Ryan and his girl, because you'll never see them out.
Oh yeah,
Ryan, whoever, and Eva Mendes.
Yeah. They're just like famous, but they're like back, like down to earth, and there's nothing
like you really know them for their work. They're not really playing the game of like trying to be
there's no
the
scandalous shit out there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm trying
sex tapes and shit.
Yeah, there's no sex tapes. That's how you get famous, though.
That's how you blow up.
But
you gotta stay in the limelight.
Other people might, but I don't have any.
I don't have any.
I don't have any that I know of.
I should say, I don't have any on my phone.
Oh yeah, me too. Well,
I would pray whoever else does just deleted that shit. Like, stop.
I hope you broke your phone. I hope it fell in the ocean. And
listen, I'm like, don't keep nothing to me. We not together no more. Please don't.
People do that, and I've had to like get on to people about that, like exes and shit. Like, why do you have naked?
Why even keep
of your
it?
Girlfriends, like we dating. You already have this naked right here. What is going on?
I couldn't deal with that. I'm not interested in you in that way anymore once we're done, or at least once I'm done. So I kind of feel like it needs to go the same way. Don't keep nothing to me.
It's too much.
But anyway, I'll be on set tomorrow.
Yay! Tell me all about it later.
I will. This is exciting.
So you guys, support her if you want to go check out her personal page too. I think I'll put everybody's personal page on there too. Is it My True Las Vegas for yours?
My True LV. That's not my personal. That's my professional one that's being developed.
You want your professional one on there?
Okay.
Oh,
My True Las Vegas.
Yeah, which one do you want?
My True LV. I don't know.
You want both?
He's not on any of them anyway, so he doesn't care.
I think my personal one would probably be more appropriate for this
one.
Okay. Then I'll just talk about My True LV when we
That's cool.
Get to talk about it. So
I'll just post some stuff. I'll post some Instagrams on this episode so y'all can like follow and check out our actual personal stuff going on, professional stuff going on. Like I think my page is public, so you can see everything too. I have several.
Yeah, I made all my shit public.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah. So well, on that note, I hope everybody is having a good day or good night. Look up some of this spooky stuff. I'm going to leave some links available at the bottom of this.
In the description box below.
If you're on podcast, I do put it in the description. If it's on YouTube, you can copy and paste into your browser and find the links and videos too. So enjoy. Spooky things. Yay!
Yay.
Yay!
We'll see you next week.
Next week.
Bye.
Bye.